the meetings. Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. It is a 5:30 p.m. on the dot. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum with all members being present. Mayor Molina, Mayor Pro Tem David Torres, School Board Member Mike Farias, and our newly appointed Ms. Sonia Enriquez. Also sitting in as advisors, we have Mr. Aaron Vela and Joey Trevino. Mr. Trevino, was the meeting posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act?
Yes, Mr. President, this notice was posted on the 12th day of April, 2019, 5 p.m. in accordance to the local Texas Open Meetings Act.
Thank you, sir. We're going to go ahead and take this time before we go right into it to introduce to you Ms. Sonia Enriquez, appointed to our EDC board. Got a little synopsis of some of Mrs. Enriquez's accomplishments. I'm going to go ahead and read them off for you real quick. We're pleased to welcome Edinburgh native Sonia Enriquez as the newest member of the Edinburgh EDC Board of Directors. She is an insurance agent by trade, and she brings a wealth of business, civic, and community experience to our board. Aside from her professional experience as an insurance agent, Ms. Enriquez has devoted her time volunteering and remaining involved in her hometown community. She is an active member of the Kiwanis Club of Edinburgh, having served in leadership capacities such as president, vice president, and she even holds the regional leadership position as lieutenant governor for the Kiwanis International Division 11, South Texas. Congratulations. She has received numerous awards for her service, including Kiwanian of the Year, and I believe that's 2 times? Twice, yes, ma'am. Under her leadership, the civic organization has championed worthy causes and organized community events such as Memorial Day flag ceremony, Remember Those Who Served event. She's partnered with DHR to host special events for children affected by cancer. She's also a key club advisor to local Edinburgh high schools. Her heart is in her community, and her motto is, "We work together as a family to accomplish our goals." You're gonna fit right in. A true community advocate, Ms. Enriquez also devotes her time to other organizations serving our community, which include Mujeres Unidas, Walk Out of Darkness Suicide Awareness Team, Mario Autism Awareness Team, Dusty Secula Memorial Library Art Events, the Edinburgh Chamber of Commerce Cookum, Edinburgh Fiesta, and Night of Lights, among many other local nonprofit organizations and events. She serves as the treasurer for the Edinburgh Crime Stoppers, and she is an elementary catechism teacher at Sacred Heart Catholic Church in Edinburgh. She is also a member of the Catholic Daughters of America. In this past October, 2018, she was the city's first Community Champion of the Year in recognition for her generous contributions of time, support, and inspiration to the community. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the team, and we look forward to a lot of good things.
Thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be part of the team.
All right, we'll go ahead and go straight into it. Number 3 on the agenda, consideration and approval of a resolution authorizing the issuance of Edinburgh Economic Development Corporation sale tax revenue bonds, new series 2019, pledging certain pledged revenues of the corporation, including gross sale tax revenues, to the payment of the principal of and interest on the bonds, prescribing the form, terms, conditions, and resolving other matters incident and related to the issuance, payment, security, sale, delivery of the bonds, including the approval and distribution of a limited offering memorandum pertaining thereto, authorizing the execution of a paying agent registrar agreement, a financial use agreement, a purchase contract, and a blanket issuer letter of representations to file with the depository trust company and providing for an effective date. Mr. Trevino.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is one of our last steps in this exercise here. Mr. Chris Vela with Hilltop Financial Advisors and Mr. Arnold Cantu with Norton Rouse Fulbright Bond Attorneys for the EDC have prepared the attached resolution relating to the issuance of the sales tax revenue bonds to be issued by the EDC for El Tule Recreation Center, the Resource and Workforce Training Center, and the North Park Public Projects. This will have the City Council will have, later on this evening, will have an item in for consideration, and we will discuss this and have that for their approval today. Mr. Vela, Mr.
Gentlemen, you want to go ahead and come to the podium?
These will be presentations.
Members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, staff, my name is Chris Vela with Hilltop Securities, financial advisors to the Economic Development Corporation of the City of Edinburgh. You have prepared a transaction summary for your consideration and approval. And I will start on page 3. We have also provided some handouts for you. Capital Improvement Projects 218-219. The Edinburgh Economic Development Corporation, the EEDC, financed the following projects through the issuance of sales tax revenue bonds, the new Series 219 bonds. El Tule Recreation Center, the EDC will construct approximately 24,211 square foot public recreation center on city-owned property located at 702 South 18th Street, Edinburgh. At completion, the city will retain ownership of the building and property. The building will include 3 basketball courts, 608 seats, concession area, and restrooms. There will be 5,333 square foot outdoor pavilion and 126 parking spaces. Total project cost is expected at $5,818,210. The North Park project, the Economic Development Corporation will construct the North Park project at property located at Rogers Road and I-69 in Edinburgh. At completion, the EDC will transfer ownership of the park to the city. The public park will include 2 softball fields, sports lighting, basketball pad, restroom, concession, building, walking trail, playscape, and parking lot. Total project cost is expected at $1,739,715. The Edinburgh Resource Center. The EDC will construct a 10,000 square foot public resource center on city-owned property located at South 14th Street and Cano, Edinburgh, formerly known as the Old City Library. At completion, the city will retain ownership of the building and property. The building will include classroom space, offices, resource area, and parking. Total project cost is expected at $2,220,000. Issuance of final approval plan of finance, 1 of 3. Issuance of sales tax revenue bonds, the new Series 19 bonds to finance projects totaling $9,780,000. The new Series 219 bonds will be issued under a new lien subordinate to the senior lien bonds, the Series 213A, the Series 213B, and the Series 215 bonds, and the project funding agreement for the Edinburgh Local Government Finance Corporation Entertainment Center Project bonds, the Entertainment Center Project funding agreement. The lien on parity with the project funding agreement for the Edinburgh Local Government Finance Corporation Entertainment Center project will be closed after the issuance of the new Series 19 bonds. The senior lien was closed in March of 2015. The new Series 19 bonds will be senior to all obligations of the EDC except the currently outstanding senior lien bonds and the Entertainment Center project funding agreement, grants and incentive agreements that the EDC has granted or may grant to developers/businesses will be junior to the new senior lien except for La Siena development agreement since it predates the tiered lien structure set up in 2015. The new Series 219 bonds will be secured by a gross pledge of the Economic Development Corporation's gross sales tax revenues subordinate to the senior lien bonds, the La Siena development agreement, and the Entertainment Center project funding agreement. No City of Edinburgh funds will secure the new Series 219 bonds. The new Series 219 bonds will be solely secured by the Economic Development Corporation's gross sales tax revenues. The new Series bonds will have a fully funded debt service reserve fund funded from new Series 219 bond proceeds. The debt service reserve fund will be equivalent to the maximum annual debt service payment on the new Series 219 bonds. The debt service reserve fund may require adjustments if additional new series bonds are issued. The new Series 19 bonds resolutions will allow the EDC to issue additional new series bonds on parity with the new Series 219 bonds as long as bonded debt coverage, including the senior lien bonds, 100% of the Edinburgh Local Government Finance Corporation, the Entertainment Center project bonds, and all the outstanding and proposed new series bonds' maximum annual debt service coverage is at least 1.15 times against the last 12 months of gross sales tax revenues. The new Series 19 bonds were sold in a limited offering as non-rated bonds to qualified institutional buyers as defined by Securities Exchange Commission Rule 144A and accredited investors as defined by Securities Exchange Commission Rule 501 of Regulation D, only in minimum denominations of $100,000. The new Series 219 bonds will be issued as tax-exempt obligations. The new Series 19 bonds will be amortized as level debt service for 25 years, semi-annual payments in February 15th and August 15th, February 15th interest-only payments, August 15th principal and interest payments, first interest payment on February the 15th of 20, first principal payment on August the 15th of 20. Final maturity, last principal and interest payment on August the 15th of 2044. The goal was to maintain all bonded debt coverage ratio of no less than 1.1 times, assuming EEDC is responsible for 100% of the debt service under the Entertainment Center project funding agreement. End result is a 1.19 all bonded debt coverage ratio. Issuance, bond sale on April the 16th of 2019, closing and delivery of funds to the Edinburgh Economic Development Corporation on May the 9th of 2019. The bond buyer revenue bond index as of late last week was 432. Just to give you some comparison from the preliminary plan of finance that was presented on January the 26th of 19, that rate was a 466. On March the 26th, it was a 439, and today we're looking at a 432. Final sources and uses of funds. Par amount of the bonds that were sold, $10,840,000, with a net bond premium of $42,713 for total sources of funds of $10,882,713. The uses of the funds. Project fund deposit, $9,780,000. Debt service reserve fund, fully funded, as we stated before, $761,150. Financing costs, $341,563 for total sources to match the total sources of funds above. The sales tax history, just a brief comparison of 18 and 19. You can see that the sales tax is doing considerably better on a monthly basis, going from October all the way to March as well. Final statistics. The last 12 months of the EDC sales tax revenues, $5,828,773, unaudited. Existing all-in debt coverage ratio, inclusive of senior lien bonds and entertainment center bonds, project funding agreement, 1.41, unaudited. Project surplus annual cash flow after net economic development corporation debt payments, no new Series 19 bonds, $3,310,000, unaudited. All-in debt coverage ratio after the issuance of the new Series 19 bonds, 1.19. Plan of finance budgeted was 1.18 times. Project surplus annual cash flow after economic development corporation debt payments, inclusive of new Series 219 bonds, $2,552,000. Final interest cost, the bond yield of the new series, 4.70%. Plan of finance budgeted 4.89. Final average annual debt service of new Series 219 bonds, 759. Plan of finance budgeted $791,000. Debt service coverage analysis. Column B is the last 12 months of economic development sales tax revenues. Column C is the outstanding 4A bonds debt service, or the senior lien bonds. Column D is the corresponding debt coverage. Column F is the net available after deducting the outstanding senior lien bonds from the sales tax, the gross sales tax revenues. And then, of course, the outstanding LGC bonds and the coverage from the net available EDC sales tax revenues on column F. Then the net available sales tax for the new series debt service, the actual debt service, and the new series debt service coverage, and then the total EDC supported debt service and the all-in debt coverage. And you can see there the 119 that we mentioned. Now, this particular slide takes into consideration the last 12 months on column B, the senior lien bonds on column C, the net available on column E, the outstanding LGCFC bonds, plus 100% of Tiers 1 tax increments, plus 95% of Tiers 4 tax increments, plus 218 city grants to EDC based on sales tax and projected base rent. Then the net series LGCF bonds debt service, additional 5% that must be budgeted according to the indenture for the LGFC. The total projected subordinate lien debt service is column M, projected new series, and the net surplus debt service that we would have, that we mentioned earlier in the previous slide, of the $2,540,000. The financing team, Edinburgh Economic Development Corporation, financial advisor, Hilltop Securities, bond counsel, Norton Rose Fulbright, U.S. LLP, Mr. Arnold Cantu present this evening, paying agent, Bank of New York, Mellon Trust Company, Dallas, Texas, underwriter, Stifel Nicholas and Company, San Antonio and St. Louis, and underwriters counsel, Winstead, San Antonio. Schedule of events: presentation of preliminary plan of finance for discussion purposes on January of 2019, consideration of reimbursement resolution for the project on February of 2019, completed on presentation of consideration and approval of final plan of finance resolution considering Edinburgh Economic Development Corporation debt obligation compliance policies and procedures, completed. City Council considers and authorizes the Edinburgh Economic Development Corporation final plan of finance and other matters as necessary prior to the issuance of the new Series 19 bonds, completed. Today, April the 16th, the Edinburgh Economic Development Corporation Board special meeting, issuance of new Series 219 bonds, and then later on this evening, City Council meeting, resolution authorizing the Edinburgh Economic Development Corporation issue of new Series 219 bonds as well. And then, of course, the closing of bond debt issuance and delivery of funds to the EDC on May the 9th. Any questions?
Just for the record, this bond is not going to increase taxes.
That is correct.
Questions? Okay, this is an action item. Can I go ahead and entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I do have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move. Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Those opposed, thank you. Meeting adjourned. The time is 5:49.
That was easy.